Welcome to Fireside Jets. My name is Alex, and my co-host here, Ryan Moran. And today we're taking a look at some main takeaways from the Jets OTAs this past week. The media availability was slim, but we got some good takeaways, notably regarding Zach Wilson adding a bunch of weight. And Robert Saleh threw around the term beefy. So he's added 13 pounds of muscle mass. He definitely has a little bit more size. He's a little bit more athletic. What will that help with? Well, I mean, when it comes to being hit by opposing pass rushers, maybe he stands up. He's a little bit stronger in the pocket. He moves with a more strong base. He did look a little light on his feet last year. You know, his throws were kind of wobbly. His throws were floating in the air. Maybe this gives him more of a foundation to throw from as a pocket passer. So I'm intrigued to hear what you have to think about this, Ryan, regarding Zach Wilson adding a little bit more muscle mass. We have a couple of different topics we wanted to discuss today. Before we do, how are you doing today, my friend?
All is good, Alex. I appreciate it. Hope all is well with you. And you said, I mean, there really wasn't a ton of media availability throughout the, off-season workout program to this point with the players speaking to the media. I think I've only seen like 4 or 5 to this point. And in terms of the beat reporters being at the facility for practice, it's been very limited to this point, but there's still some good takeaways. Obviously the main guy being Zach Wilson going into this big year too. And you touched on it, just the weight that he's at. I think he said he played last year at 208. Right now he's at 221, and he really wants to play the season at about 218. So obviously I think one of the main concerns people had with him as a prospect, around this time last year was just his weight. Is he going to be able to sustain the hits? And I just think last year he played with good toughness. It's just you want him to be available for 17 games and hopefully into the postseason. So I think it's smart for him to put that weight on, play with more strength. Obviously, he's still very young as well, still only 22 years old. So I think to, just show the maturity at an early point. And, it brings up another discussion that I want to get into with Zach, just the overall mental side of things as well, and how, Peter Schrager and Mike Giardi both reported on it from NFL Network this week. And you've heard some of the beat reporters speak on it as well. Just the night and day difference that Zach has in terms of picking up the playbook, having a clear understanding of things. Obviously, we touched on it with Denzel Mims and the LaFleur offense in our last episode. And I think it's very similar with Zach. I mean, you come in as a 21-year-old rookie and you're learning this it's a quarterback-friendly system, obviously, when you marry up the run and you get the play-action pass game going off it. But just to have to learn all the concepts and intricacies to it early on, it takes time. And I think to be able to hear some of the buzz that we had that Zach is just taking the leadership role on, you knew he had the work ethic even last year, that was reported on, but just to know that, he's in a better place, in terms of understanding the playbook and knowing the whys to certain play calls, I think just it gives you much more optimism that he's poised for this year 2 leap that we all want to see.
Yeah, I mean, looking at his stats last year, definitely a lot left to be desired. 55.6% completion rate, 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Not the best. I mean, it wasn't Daniel Jones fumbling the ball 19 times in his rookie season, only fumbled 5 times. But I think you're right. Like having that bigger frame, apparently he's more athletic and faster, 13 pounds heavier. He wants to play at about 218. So that's about 3 pounds less than he's at right now at 221. But if he's faster, more athletic, and he's heavier, that is going to be a good sign for him. And I think they've also mentioned the fact that he's been more vocally proficient as a leader, right? Like being comfortable in the system, knowing the offense, that's a big, big thing for Zach Wilson. I think him having the confidence to go out there and dictate the terms, help this offense really flow, and having some rookies in Garrett Wilson, some guys that he now has some experience with, being Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, some of these guys, a couple of new tight ends with CJ Uzuma and Jeremy Ruckert. So a lot of good talent on the team, right? There is an exponential amount of talent for Zach Wilson to take advantage of. The question is, it really comes down to him. The question is, can he, make the passes, right? We've seen him in practice so far. There's been some nice video of him hitting guys downfield, putting some real velocity behind those passes, which is a great sign for Zach Wilson because he was floating passes and he was skipping them off the dirt, I guess the turf in MetLife, all throughout his rookie season, and indicating he didn't have that arm strength, or at least he wasn't throwing from a good foundational base. A lot of times in Zach Wilson, this was one of his biggest weaknesses as a rookie, and honestly, probably during his collegiate career as well, that it was pretty noticeable. He throws off his back foot a lot, and he tries to use his arm too much, right? The NFL ball is a little bit bigger. There's guys coming into his face. Like there's a lot of action going on around him, so he's really had to supplement that. And I think that he can't really sit there and throw off his back foot. He's been sidearming these footballs to the sideline, and he's just not getting enough arm strength behind it. But now with the better weight, standing in the pocket, using his leverage, using his foundation, his his lower body to put pressure behind the football. I think that is going to give him a lot more success in the passing game and really, really increases his completion rate because, like I said, he missed a lot of screen passes just because the football didn't reach the receiver. So that maybe the 10 passes he missed there, that's a pretty significant bump with your completion percentage and just yardage in general. And maybe that's not a 3 and out. Maybe that's not a turnover on the next play. Just positive momentum. Quarterback play is very momentum based kind of position. So you need to be in flow. You need to be completing those passes because if you miss one, suddenly it's third down and it's third and long and you have no chance right now, especially as a rookie quarterback. So I do think that we're going to see a lot better version of Zach Wilson as a leader. I think we're going to see a better version of him as a quarterback. I was very high on him coming out of BYU. He's a tremendous deep ball thrower. He's amazing when it comes to his accuracy downfield. I think he was just flustered, right? The offensive line wasn't that great. But do you think that the offensive line is going to be a lot better this year? Do you think he's going to be standing in the pocket a lot more and having a little bit more time?
I do. I think with the addition of Laken Tomlinson to start, that's a big one there at left guard. And, the guy we've obviously spent a ton of time talking about is Mekhi Becton and getting him back. I think you add those two, what George Fant provides you as a pass blocker, Connor McGovern, some of his best moments with the Broncos and even last year, a successful pass blocker. Like he's an aggressive player. He's a good athlete. And ABT as well. I think getting that year of experience under his belt last year, he's probably along with Zach, in just a better space mentally. And, I think that front five in general is probably the best the Jets have had in quite some time. So, there's definitely some carryover from last year with 3 of those guys being back. Obviously, Becton didn't really play, so you really can't count him. But you add 2 talents like him and Tomlinson, and I think overall, you have a front five to feel good about there for Zach. It's in terms of just the pass blocking. The last thing with Zach, I wanted to speak on that I noticed was just watching his press conference. And it's to be expected from year 1 to year 2, but just the comfortability he showed speaking to the media, I think really jumped out to me. He seems just much more calm, much more poised. And I think that year of experience last year was just invaluable to his development. You heard him, you said it was just the influx and talent that's around him. He spoke on that and he said, look, it's on me now. Like it's put up or shut up. He has the talent to do it. And you're happy to hear that he's taking that initiative to know, I got to deliver. Like the pieces that have been put around me. He spoke on the draft and how excited he was with all the players. Obviously, he spoke pretty highly on Garrett Wilson lately. And that's even been reciprocated with the rookies. Like Breece Hall spoke on the fact that he knows he's got to give Zach, a lot of, help in the backfield just with some easy handoffs and whatnot. And the last thing was even somebody like Chris Sims speaking very highly on Zach. And Chris has been right on a lot of quarterbacks as of late. And to hear him continue to speak up on, and he even talked about just the hard, transition picking up that offense last year, knowing the LaFleur system, obviously his relationship with Kyle Shanahan. So I think overall there's a lot of signs to point, with Zach to feel really good about going into year 2 here.
Absolutely. I mean, right off the bat, you can see that the Jets are in a better position altogether, right? The Giants, Jets, the past 5 years, look what they've done to build around their quarterback. Sam Darnold was given absolutely nothing, right? I mean, he was really, the offensive line was awful. And look at Daniel Jones' offensive line was awful. The New York teams have followed step and followed suit when it comes to destroying their rookie quarterback. So this right now for Zach Wilson is the best possible position he could be in. He has 2 good running backs in Michael Carter and Breece Hall, has an absolutely lethal receiving core when they're healthy, a good offensive line, a good defense, adding Sauce Gardner and Reed to that secondary. They have a lot of really great players. They're going to help him. I mean, Jeremy Ruckert, Uzoma coming off, a Super Bowl appearance. Like this is exactly what you wanted to see the Jets do to build around Zach Wilson and put their quarterback, their second-year quarterback, in a position to succeed because Sam Darnold, what they did for him, I mean, it was nothing. They couldn't build around the guy. They didn't give him much. They put names in there at times, but they didn't end up actually providing anything for him. And I think that, Sam Darnold has his weaknesses. He has his demons. He sees ghosts on the field. We know he's limited to some degree, but I will say that Zach Wilson is a much better player in terms of just doing things instinctively. And he at BYU, he took like good risks, right? He didn't just throw the ball up. He put the ball where it needed to be so his guy can make a play. And I think he's going to get back to doing that. The thing is, MetLife's a tough stadium to play in because the wind is always swirling. It's really difficult to manage the wind there, and just the physical and the nature of the weather is just awful. The rain, the snow. You definitely have to adjust to that. So I think it takes time, but Zach Wilson got a little taste of it last year, and he'll hopefully bounce back. But let's talk about, some defensive positions really quickly from OTAs. Definitely some standout guys here. I think that, the secondary is starting to come together here. And I do want to ask you one thing about Sauce Gardner, right? What do you think his impact is? Do you see him as the CB1 immediately, or do you think he's CB2? He's going to need time. Like, do you think they're going to throw him right into the mix against the best receivers in football?
What you just said there at the end, I think Sauce is coming in to transform this defense from the jump. You look at some guys as of late, Trayvon Diggs, AJ Terrell, some of the early impact, even in the division with like Tre'Davious White. I remember his rookie year, the way he was able to come in and kind of change the culture of the Bills there. I think Sauce is not even just being brought in on the field, but as a CEO. Like, I think he brings credibility to the organization. I think they need that alpha mentality. And to me, Sauce has all the intangibles that you look for from someone to just do it right away. I think he's confident, he's competitive, he's been successful, and I just think his size is very imposing. It's going to be tough, I think, for receivers, regardless of how you operate, whether it's with routes, speed, physicality. I think Sauce really is the complete package, and what he can do, just getting in your face at the line of scrimmage and press coverage, and to me, having him opposite DJ Reed, I think it probably does take some pressure off of Sauce early on as a true CB1. I mean, when you look at the statistics from a year ago, DJ Reed was really up there with a lot of those guys. So to me, they've got, two guys maybe who, I mean, are still very young too and have the potential to grow into something better. DJ Reed's still only 25. And, overall with Sauce, I think he's going to make his impact felt right away. Look, there's going to be hiccups. It's not going to be like college where he didn't give up a touchdown. I mean, that stuff is just unrealistic to expect. But I think early on, he's going to be an impact player. Even what he can do just as a tackler, he's physical, he comes up, he's got the right attitude. And, I think he is going to make an immediate impact come week one.
Yeah, I mean, to be a good cornerback in the NFL, you need to be extremely confident, like the Jalen Ramseys of the world. So I'm very excited to see what Sauce Gardner does. I was hoping, as a Giants fan, that they would either get Sauce or Kayvon Thibodeau. Obviously, we went with Thibodeau, but Sauce nonetheless is going to be a stud for you guys. I believe, especially with the great coaching staff you have now. Garrett Wilson, another first round player here, impact player for the Jets in the receiver core. Zach Wilson is extremely excited about him, and he had to say the dude's a sponge. He's soaking it up. He's learning a bunch. He went on to say, with being a rookie, just like me last year, you can't really show exactly what you got until you can line up correctly and be confident in what you're doing. He's going to go through the learning stage still, but he's a quick learner. You can see that talent jump off the page. He's a really good player. So, when it comes to that chemistry, I hope they continue to build that, in practice, preseason, regular season. Those two guys, him and Elijah Moore, lethal, right? Lining them up in bunch formations. We're going to see them do so many creative things. LaFleur is known for that creativity. So hopefully, they really do extrapolate on their strengths and get them the football in the middle of the field and really just help them, do stuff after the catch, because that's where both of them are so lethal. But just to say, like, to finish this episode up, I think that what the players and the coaches are saying about this team now is very positive. Zach Wilson said this team is going to be better. He's already started to see improvements from the end of last season. So, like, they're taking steps forward as a team. Robert Saleh, he said this team pretty much reverberated the same exact sentiment. Like, they're getting better. They've added more pieces. They're young, but they have one more year of experience together, and that just compounds, right? Like, it's just like investing. You have a good team, you put new pieces in place, you have good coaching, it just compounds year after year after year. You get better and better and better. And that's how it goes, especially when you have competent management. And, the Giants have not had that for a long time. Now they have the Jets. So it's been fun to watch these two teams come together and really put things, on the football field, especially just progress, signs of progress, positivity. Now, it definitely is displayed more through wins and losses, but I think the Jets' tough schedule this year. But if they can come away competing and winning against some of these better teams, that's all you can hope for. And then year 3, you look to really take that step forward, kind of put the Patriots in the backseat for once and maybe even overcome. I don't even know. I mean, I guess Miami is probably the second. Buffalo's the best. Miami. Now you got Tua, you got Tyreek Hill, you got what's his name? What's his name? The other receiver. Why I keep thinking of the Giant. Jalen Waddle. I kept thinking Wandale because I keep saying that for the Giants, but Jalen Waddle, another stud. You got Mike Gesicki over there. So many great players. So I'm really excited to see how the Jets kind of compete and progress through the next couple of years. But Ryan, any last thoughts about OTAs and just things that you might want to take away?
100%. A couple of things with Quentin Williams. He was one of the players made available to the media, and obviously there's a big, question mark with him and his future. Obviously, the team picked up his 5th-year option earlier this offseason, and they asked him about his contract. And, he said he's really not worried about it at this point in time. At the end of last year, he did say that he knows he's got to take it to a different level. And I love that mindset from Quinnen. I think he's been very good his 3 years as a Jet, but he was drafted 3rd overall to be a difference maker. And I think this is the year that it begins for him, with Carl Lawson and Jermaine Johnson outside, having John Franklin Myers back on the inside. I think the pass rushing production and dominance from Quinnen will start to really come together this year. Obviously, the free safety competition has been a huge question for Jets fans for some time. There were a ton of players really in the mix coming into this offseason. Obviously, LaMarcus Joyner was re-signed. You had Ashton Davis coming back, Jason Pinnock, Elijah Riley, Will Parks. You had so many guys. And obviously, Joyner's still, coming back from that injury. But early on here, this week, the media reported on the fact that Jason Pinnock was the one working with the starters. So that's definitely something to, keep an eye on here as we progress into mandatory minicamp. And the last thought is, obviously, it's been voluntary up until this point. And there's been a lot, surrounding Mekhi Becton. And really, when things pick up here and get mandatory in a couple of weeks, the big, thing we'll all be paying attention to is who's at left tackle and who's at right tackle there with the starters between George Fant and Mekhi Becton. So a lot going on, a lot of fun things surrounding the Jets right now. And, it should continue to, get interesting here. And we'll find out more here in a couple of weeks when things pick up and get mandatory.
Absolutely. So tomorrow we'll take a look at Quan Alexander. Discuss kind of that LB2 spot next to CJ Mosley. Do you think they should bring in an experienced linebacker? We'll talk about, Quan, what he's done over his career, what he's good, what he's bad at, if it's worth it, how much he would cost, all these different variables that play a part. Maybe you just go with the guys currently on the roster and just kind of roll into the sunset, hoping that position battle brings the best out of them. And I think the Jets have had success doing that in the past, so I do want to discuss that. That'll be for tomorrow's episode. Quan Alexander from the Saints, if the Jets should consider signing him as a free agent. But as always, my friends, make sure to like and subscribe below on Fireside Jets. More content to come. We got this offseason kind of 100 days away from football, a long time, but nonetheless, we got you guys covered with all the information about this Jets team and then into the season. So I'm really excited to see how this team progresses and what they can accomplish moving forward, Ryan. But make sure to like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Jets episode.